Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simplifying Network Automation with NetGrew. I'm your host, and today we have Christopher. Christopher, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thanks for joining us. So, tell us a bit about yourself. We're going to talk about Cisco XDR. Actually, for folks that might not know, you used to be in DevNet at some point, Christopher, right? You were like a developer advocate on security, and then you went back on the BU side, on the security side, and now you are a product manager for XDR. Is that correct?
Yes, that is indeed correct. I've been actually since I think last Monday. I've been with Cisco for 10 years now. So I got
Congratulations. Yeah.
thank you. So I got uh, a reminder of that. Yeah, I started in Cisco as a consulting systems engineer for security,
Hmm.
but I always had a passion for programming and automation. So in that role, I worked a lot with DevNet already. I was like an active contributor, and at some point, the role opened up, and I was able to join the team as the same role as you actually, as a
Yeah.
developer advocate and a software engineer focused role. So I was in the DevNet team indeed for a few years, and then I moved to Secure X in that day as an engineering project manager or product manager, and si- then I was part of the transition because parts of SecureX became XDR, so that team kind of did a double duty at some point, and now we've completely end of life SecureX, and the full focus is on XDR. So that's my current focus. But yeah, I was in DevNet, had a great time there.
Yeah, it was fantastic having you on the team. It was a loss when you left, but hopefully, you're enjoying this role better.
Yeah, no, I definitely miss DevNet, but I'm very glad to keep working with you guys from this role. Yeah, that's the best of both worlds, I guess.
Definitely. All right. So tell us a bit about, if you don't mind. So you said consulting systems engineer. Um, what about before that? Like, how did you get passionate about automation and programmability? Like, what triggered that in you?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. I haven't thought about that in a while. I think um, when I see a repetitive process, it's just a little bit inside of me. Or if I see a potential place where errors can happen, I don't know. It's something in me, and I'm trying to optimize it. Um, and that's my passion. Also in my personal life, if I just try to automate things, make things standardized, and try to reduce errors, which sometimes has some interesting situations on the home front. But our house is very efficient for the most part. Yeah, no, that's something that was always inside of me as a passion. And yeah, programming I've been doing like my entire life. So I started like with a very basic type of programming. Obviously, when I was younger, my grandfather actually introduced a very primal version of programming to me one day, and I was actually interested in it. And then I started doing it more and more in university, college, or whatever you call it, in C. And then at some point did some R as well.
Oh,
And then I moved to Python, as many people do. And I actually studied on the University of Amsterdam, where Python was invented. So, or at least where the one of the founders of Python is from. So, yeah, there was a big focus on Python, obviously, at that university. So that's how I got into it.
Gotcha. Well, that's nice. So since then, it's pretty much like a lifelong journey for you, right? We got involved with it from an early age, and then you keep going with it now. So that's fantastic. So tell us a bit about that XDR, right? So what is Cisco XDR? You were mentioning about Secure X. So where does it stand, XDR, as a product within the Cisco security offering?
Yeah, that's a very good question, especially the last one. So let me unpack that a little bit. So Cisco XDR, for those that are completely new to it, stands for Extended Detection and Response. It literally is what it says. So XDR is an industry term, just like firewall is, or SIM, or whatever. We named the product that as well, as we're kind of trying to brand things by what it actually is. So what do? We ingest an extended variety of sources of detections. We also ingest certain telemetry sources, like from the network directly. So there are some more raw telemetry sources that we ingest that we turn into detections. But for the most part, we ingest detections from other tools. We correlate them. So we combine them, we correlate them, and we try to make sense of it. So we enrich it where needed. We try to merge things where possible, connect them. And then where the magic happens, as I usually say, is the incidents. So we turn them into incidents, and the XDR tool allows you to do instant response on those. So an incident means that there's a potential breach in the organization. And basically, yeah, what XDR does is it allows you to bring all those tools together in one single interface and allow you to respond to those in the least amount of effort as possible with the highest amount of trust in what we give. So and it's a journey, obviously, the product. We're still making a lot of improvements as we go, but that's in essence what the product is. Yeah. So does that make sense so far?
It
Before I
does.
go
It does.
any
So
further, yeah.
yeah. So then, how does it compare to something like Cisco Splunk now?
Yeah, great question. So Splunk is originally, at least, is an observability platform. They have SIM capabilities as well. So what makes Splunk completely different than XDR is Splunk is capable of ingesting any data at high scale, unindexed. So Splunk is a very cool tool that we have in our portfolio now. XDR is not meant for that purpose. So it's not meant to ingest every data at every volume unindexed. So we, as I said, we ingest specific sources of telemetry. We do ingest it raw, or raw, like in for example, NetFlow format. But for the most part, we ingest already defined detections where we have a specific integration with that tool, and we ingest. We're very particular in the events we ingest, because we only ingest them for a specific reason, which is instant correlation. A lot of other data we pull in after the fact through enrichment. Enrichment is sometimes also called like an ad hoc search or federated search. So by design, XDR is different than a SIM or an observability platform. Now the question is, can they work side by side? Yes. It is actually extremely helpful that Splunk has all the data, and XDR could, as needed, pull in data from Splunk with a very specific reason. There's one other huge difference, if you ask me, between Splunk and XDR. XDR is a SaaS-only tool. It is meant, for the most part, for simplicity, for easy, quick onboarding. Splunk has a SaaS version, but it has a very large on-premise presence that we just cannot serve with XDR. So at the same time, Splunk has extreme you can customize it in a lot. So from that perspective, Splunk is a very advanced tool as well compared to XDR, but they can definitely work side by side. We have a bunch of customers that actually have both. It depends a bit on the organization, which is their primary tool or their secondary tool, because XDR can, for example, also ingest data, correlate it, then send it to Splunk. So there are organizations that do it that way, but you could also do it the other way around, where Splunk is used to enrich data in XDR. So that's the difference between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So for ingesting data into XDR, like you said, right, you can get it from Splunk, for example, to enrich your incidents. You could get it from like just regular NetFlow streaming telemetry, also like raw streaming telemetry. Is that an option?
Sorry, you said raw and then
Streaming telemetry.
Yeah, so specific. So the XDR being Cisco, we make one exception to the rule is we ingest. So we stream network telemetry into XDR. So that's the only exception. We do that for NetFlow, or other flow-based protocols. We also do it for MVM, or the network visibility module, which runs on an endpoint side by side in EDR, and that streams process to network flow data to XDR as well. And we do the same trick with cloud logs and cloud flows from public clouds like Azure or GCP or AWS. Those can be streamed into XDR, and we form our own anomaly-based detections, or detections. Some are anomaly-based and require like 7 or 12 or 36 days of baselining. So that is like a specific feature within XDR, but for like endpoint, email, and other types of sources, we usually ingest the detections directly. I will show towards the end of the stream today a way to ingest more custom data. That's a new feature that we're coming out with in probably a few weeks. So hopefully somewhere in September. Obviously, those timelines may change, but that's what we're targeting. So I'll show you a sneak peek at the end of that as well. Now, what some customers do is they say, hey, I don't want to ingest all of that network or cloud or process flow data into my Splunk. I want XDR to actually first make sense of it and then stream those into XDR or into Splunk. So there are ways they can work together very, very well.
All right, but basically XDR is security focused, incident based, yes. Right? You want to make sure you get your security types of data into it so that it makes sense. It enriches that data, creates incidents for you. Then you can keep track of everything in one place. You gather all this data from endpoints, from your cloud infrastructure, from on-prem, whatever you have all this data coming into XDR, where XDR makes sense out of it, and we can keep track of all that log incident data.
Yes. Yep.
All right, fantastic. So then, folks, you said it's SaaS based only. Let's jump and show folks the interface, right? I mean,
yes,
okay.
It will make more sense.
Yes,
if we actually look at everything. So the screen is up.
Yep.
This is
you're logged into XDR here, right?
Yes. So I have a few tabs open, but we'll start with this one. So right now we're in a demo environment from XDR. Let me just refresh real quick to see if I'm still logged in. But so this is the incident tab or incident menu item. As you can see, we have a few menu items. You can probably guess that I'm a big fan of Automate. I'll definitely spend a lot of time on that, obviously. Normally, this is our landing page where we have some dashboarding widgets. We also have a MITRE coverage map that shows you a different dashboard, basically, that allows you to see how well the different combination of products that you have protect you against the various MITRE attacks. So that's very cool. You can even see now if you have specific incidents that are related to those MITRE attack tactics and techniques. So this is these are some cool dashboards. You can also customize those dashboards, but the real core of the product is on incidents, because this is the primary reason customers buy XDR or subscribe to it, I should probably say, since it's SaaS. Yes, you can use it to do investigations and threat hunting. It's an extremely good tool for that. You can automate it, a lot of the things, but in the end, all of these in some way serve a purpose towards incidents. So this is where the magic happens. Do you want me to jump into an incident, or do you have other questions regarding the platform first?
No, let's jump into incidents directly.
Okay. So yeah, here you see that list. As you can see, so this is a demo environment, by the way, Explore Corp, as we call it. You see a priority of 1,000 a lot here, which, so if you go a bit lower, they will obviously become lower. The priority combines your detection risk with your asset values or the value of the assets. And it allows it. Imagine that there are multiple incidents, like in this case. It allows someone to prioritize. Now, in normal customer environments, you will not see this many incidents that are not closed, ideally, because that means, yeah, you got some serious problems going on potentially. Normally, you see like maybe a few max per day. It depends a bit on the organization, of course. But in most environments, it's maybe a few per week where you see correlated incidents coming in. So you can see here in the sources tab that, for example, this incident that we can look at has 3 different sources that contributed to this incident. Now, not every incident is multi-source. Most are, and we try to pull in as many sources as possible. Immediately, we can show you, which MITRE attack tactics and techniques were used, and which how they contributed to the risk score of that incident. Now, you can imagine, for those that don't know MITRE that well, these are these phases, basically, that an attacker walks through. Now, if you have all of them in bold, that means it's pretty much a completed attack. If we were able to correlate events and prove that all of these were done, that's a pretty bad sign, because that's a signal that someone actually did a full-blown completed attack, which in this case looks like it. And it could be that there are gaps and that we don't have the data, or that the data was not available yet, etc. So there's ways, obviously, to look for more data while you do the incident response. Here you see a quick 1 or 2 sentence AI-generated incident. And here there's a way to see in another AI-generated summary that explains in more detail what exactly happened. So which detections happened, how they progressed, etc., and which products in the end were used to source this data. So this will help at least get a quick glimpse on what is going on, it also helps for later documentation of the incident. And finally, here you see which assets were involved, both users and devices. When you see this 10, that means we were able to resolve the asset into an asset that's actually in the customer's inventory. And that means usually it's a managed device, or in some way the customer has data on that device or user. We obviously integrate with Cisco Identity Intelligence as well to get user data from, for example, Entra ID. So we can jump into it here. We have a concept within XDR where we try to layer information and allow you to peel away layers and go deeper. We call it progressive disclosure. So that drawer, you first have the list, then the drawer, and now you got more details. Here again, you can do the same trick. You can see more details as you go in and click through into the platform. Anything you want me to call out in the meantime, Adrian? Or
no, so I mean, let's dig deeper into this. Like you said, let's peel the onion and see. Right, this looks like this HR manager. This is the entry point into this incident. That was corrupted a machine. Right, seems like a Windows, possibly a machine.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I will say I haven't fully looked at this incident up front, so we can just look at it together slightly. But what you can see, at least if you hover over, is you see the relationship between nodes on the graph. The nodes on the graph are fed in the end by detections. Now, what are detections? Detections are signals of potential malicious behavior. So here we broke down the various events or detections that happened. And for example, you can see this one, secure endpoint, Mimikatz dump credentials IOC. IOC stands for indicator of compromise. This probably means something really bad, because this is an offensive tool to extract credentials. So if you see things like this, then that's usually a sign someone attempted at least to breach. Now, it can still mean it's not an actual attack. So right now it's set to new. We still don't know yet 100% if it's confirmed, but we at least can get some details as we go. You can see here as well that, for example, this secure endpoint device, it was tried to terminate a specific action, but apparently not the right policy was enabled here. That gives me an indication, oh, this actually may have was an attack that they tried to stop, but it was actually possible for the attacker to continue because the policy was set most likely to a sort of an audit mode. I know that because I know how secure endpoint works, but at least you can see that it was disabled by the policy. You can see also more information of this device. For example, that it's owned by HR manager, or at least that it's a user that was logged in on it before. That is usually also not a good sign, because HR managers have access to a lot of data potentially that's sensitive. We can also click on this manager here. We can see that this user was involved with these various indicators of compromise that we saw earlier here as well. So again, we don't know the full story yet, but slowly but surely we gather more information. And at the same time, we also see there was actual external communication to these IP addresses. I think in this case, probably because this is a demo incident, it wasn't that bad because we can also see this, but we can, for example, drill deeper into what these detections were. So for example, here we see that one of these network connections, which I think is the same IP address,
Yeah,
this one. Oh yeah, we can see it here as well. hey, DNS abuse, unusual packet size. So it might not for everyone immediately know what it is, but you can see this was a native detection that we created on top of flow data. And apparently there was a DNS request to this IP with an unusual packet size. So that's very often a way to obfuscate data exfiltration through a allowed protocol like DNS. So again, I don't know. What do you think so far based on what we've seen?
No, this is fascinating. So you get quite a bit of depth of visibility into all of this. So you're saying, right, you're getting all this information, you're not yet sure if the attack completed successfully. I mean, you see all this, right, indications of compromise, like you said.
Mhm.
But when, as part of your investigation, right, what would be the next step? And when do you see that, oh, yes, this is definitely an attack, credentials have been exfiltrated? At which stage of your investigation do you get that?
Yeah. So let me walk you. So first of all, I want to call out that the UX you see right here, or the interface, is there's a big rehaul coming of this UI. People
Hmm.
may have seen it at Cisco Live. We've been demoing it. That kind of ties in the response a bit more directly into what you'll see here. But right now, what you usually do is you jump into the response, where we have a playbook, as we call it, 4 phases: identification, containment, eradication, and recovery. This is based on the SANS framework to do incident response.
Hmm.
And basically, so this is a Cisco managed playbook. Customers can also create their own. They can create rules when which playbook will be assigned. There's also a big rehaul coming on this with some agentic AI capabilities in there, which again, definitely recommend looking at some of the Cisco Live announcements we made around that. But imagine you need to follow these steps as a
Hmm.
instant responder. We have a new feature already where we do certain analysis out of the box. So I just jumped into this incident, still marked as new. Nothing has happened, but you already see that some are complete. So these are actually done by sort of our built-in AI, and it automatically does an analysis of the incident and calls out things that it thinks are important for you to look at, like this one. This could suggest a potential phishing command and control, most likely, because this is a indication that someone tried to do something abusive to an external server. So right out of the bat, you'll see things like that. But there's also other tasks here, and again, it depends on which playbook is assigned, that you can either do or don't. Let's say in our case, we feel that we kind of know enough, and we want to confirm this incident. Now, before we do that, let's assign myself to the incident as well, because I want to start handling this. And let's execute this. So as you can see, what this will do is it will actually run a workflow, which I'll show you in the second half of our stream. We'll definitely need to jump over to automate soon, but this is directly integrated into our automation engine. So playbooks are kind of a one meta layer above workflows. And what you see is that what this will do is it will change the incident status in a second when it completes running. So this allows you basically to tie in predefined automation workflows that are approved by your organization and trackable, controllable, customizable. And it ties them into playbooks. As I said, we are going to do a lot of AI magic with this. So you'll see more generative playbooks and generative playbook tasks, which can still be assigned to predefined automation workflows. So obviously in the demo, it's going to take a bit longer. But we can also jump into the workflow from here, by the way, if needed. Let's see why it's taking so long.
Oh, there you go.
Running. Okay, there we go. So I was being impatient, but most likely we'll see it complete now in a second. And I'm going to explain you what is actually happening on the back end.
Yes. What are these steps, right? I've seen they're creating a WebEx space.
Yes. So the goal of okay, well, let's see what the results are. So as you can see, it says the incident status is now updated to reported. So if I refresh this page, it will probably be reported. They also created a WebEx room. It failed to add this user, which is fine, but it did add me. Now imagine that you have 5 users assigned to the incident and they don't have weird email addresses like this. They would have been added. And I can actually click on this and it opens directly my other screen. 1 second. I'll open it in a new tab so that everyone doesn't have to see my other messages. You can see here, hey, a bot created this room. It added a card and basically also a link from here to the incident. We call this a war room. So when there's an actual incident in an environment, this is a very important process because that basically allows you to start working the incident in your collaboration tool of choice. We don't just support Slack. You see here it's actually partially completed. The reason is because of this. So if it didn't complete all tasks, it will set the status to partially completed. You can see now it's open reported. If you go into the work log, you'll see all of this as well. You'll see that the status was changed by system. You also see that there's an external reference that was added by the system as well. How cool is that, that all of this is available? But obviously the link is here as well. Now, if I had a different integration, it would have used whatever was integrated. So this workflow is one of our built-in workflows. And that basically works with any tool that you have selected. In my case, I have WebEx here. See that? So this is where you define which WebEx tools you have. And here you can see, for those that want, you can dig deeper into the onion or peel deeper into it. For the average persona that's doing instant response, they don't need to jump into this. So they'll just stick with what is here. But it's good that you have it for auditing reasons and or troubleshooting if something fails. But pretty much what happens is it gets all the targets. Targets is a concept within Automate that allows you to make API calls to a certain destination. It will then figure out, hey, which tools were available. It will get the incident summary. It will search the users that were assigned to the incident. So you can see probably first searching for that user. So that it needs an ID for that user, extracts the user's email as well. As you can see here, that was a non-existing user though, but you get the picture. Then it knows based on the targets retrieved, hey, I have a WebEx available to me. I'm going to create a room with a pre-built atomic action that we have. Again, using the built-in target that we have. So this integration that I showed basically creates a automation target automatically. And this workflow automatically picks that one up. So everything here happens out of the box, but you can customize it or build your own stuff as you like. and we'll do that in a little bit. And then you see here, it's adding the external ID, adding the WebEx card, posting the message, etc. And then finally, it's filled here, but you can see in the second iteration, it was able to add me, most likely. Yep.
Yep.
You can see here, and then it will update the results accordingly with what was possible. And yeah, that's pretty much it of what happens. So this is our low to no code platform that powers this.
Okay, so you could edit this workflow, right? Like you said, you could make a copy of it, add Slack instead of WebEx or Microsoft Teams, whatever else.
Exactly.
That's what
You
want.
can do whatever you want. You can. So there are certain workflows that are Cisco managed.
Mhm.
So where is it? Document and notify. Well, it's somewhere here. Let me just search for it. Yeah. So here it is. So that means this one is read only. We wanted to get people over the first hill of adoption of a tool like this. We basically bootstrapped each and every tenant with a playbook that is generically applicable to any incident in theory. And those playbook tasks, so those are the subcomponents, are linked to wherever possible to pre-built automation workflows, just to get people started. If they want, they can duplicate it, edit it as they wish. We also have a bunch of slightly more simple workflows in something called Exchange. So you can search here, for example, for incident response. And there's a bunch of both community and Cisco managed workflows. It is comparable to the DevNet Exchange. And at some point, it was also synced. The benefit of having this built in right now for us is you can install them with one click. And you're already logged in. So that made it slightly easier. Yeah, so this is where you can find content, or if you're really a pro at creating workflows, you can just create one yourself. And then, for example, do incident response, or if you want to do it only for playbooks, you can do it like this.
Right, and then you have that interface with drag and drop, pretty much low code,
Yes.
no code,
Yes.
and add all your steps and build your workflow in a
Yep.
graphical user interface. Very intuitive.
Yep, and we can build one together if you want.
Well, let's jump into the automation piece, right? Because we wanted to show people also like the automation capabilities of the tool, and I'm sure there's APIs that come with it also.
Exactly. Yes. So before I forget, if we ran out of time, I do want to call out to our DevNet docs, by the way. You said APIs. I needed to do a small shout out. So we actually have a bunch of learning labs with sample code, Postman collection. We are also on the code exchange, obviously. So while we have our exchange, you can also just import workflow as a JSON file. So a workflow is just a JSON file in the end. It's a definition of it. And we also have a GitHub integration as well. So there's stuff on Code Exchange as well. There's stuff out on GitHub as well. Be mindful though of what you import, I would say. The Exchange is slightly more vetted, but or Code Exchange, obviously. So, but yeah, here we show all of the XDR APIs. Now, automation itself has APIs. We also have various other APIs that power the various components of the platform. You could, with automation APIs, in theory, let me show you the concept called targets. I talked briefly about it before. We also have a bunch of Cisco XDR targets. They don't show up like that. Let me then do it. So you see here playbook APIs, and you see Insights APIs, you see query APIs. So we have a bunch of them built in. So for example, we even have automation as a pre-built target. The cool thing is you'll see like, hey, this is a built-in, everything's grayed out, you don't have to do anything. The cool thing is we know your API key already because you're in the product logged in.
Mm-hmm.
We take care of any token refresh. We take care of any headers. So if you use our built-in targets, you'll recognize them like this. It's much easier to build workflows because you don't have to worry about potential complexities with authentication. XDR APIs are all OAuth 2 authenticated though, so it's not super complex, but it's just easier to get started. So it's just one step less that you need to do. So you could, for example, create a workflow. Let's just create a blank one. We'll do netgrew demo. Oops. And now I have a blank canvas. So we call this the canvas. You can see here the concept of target. Here I'm in my workflow properties. If I were to drag in, I don't know, maybe something with WebEx, it's always easy to demo. We could drag that in. And now we actually, if I click on this, we are at the properties of this atomic. I click back on the canvas, I'm in the workflow properties. So wherever I click, this drawer becomes contextual. But you can see here, I can also overwrite the target here. So if I'm building a workflow with a bunch of WebEx stuff, it's easier to use the workflow target that I've set here, which I'll do right now, just for sake of simplicity. So I could say, hey, here are all my integration targets, my pre-built targets. You can see WebEx here. I can obviously have other targets as well, like custom targets that are not linked to an integration or not built-in targets. Well, let's just use this one. And I could, so now I don't have to worry about the access token because I'm using the integration provided target. Just skip that. And for room ID, I'll probably need to find the room first, or search people. Actually, let me just for the demo purposes, just this is a quicker one. I know we're coming up on time. I want to show you some of the cool stuff. I could do myself. I don't know your abbreviation at the top of my head. I could do
Hello.
And I could do validate. And let's see if it works. Probably forgot something somewhere or not.
There you go.
So, whoops. See here?
Yep.
Hello world. I apparently did some communication with my own bot before, but you can see here that that's how easy it was. We already had the integration. That means we had the target, already have the atomic. So it literally took me like 5 clicks to do something like this. Now, is this a useless workflow? Yes. But it just shows you more or less what you can do with this tool. Now, there's a bunch of pre-built content here. We all obviously have all of the more programming, like classic functions. In programming, we also have logic like for loops. We have while loops. We have condition blocks. So it's just like programming. It's a classic low to no code platform, but it's completely embedded into XDR. So it allows you to do a lot of embedded things as well. Like I could change it from here into an incident response or playbook workflow. And just to show you the power of that, like you see how I click this button, it pops up the variable browser.
Yep.
if I change the intent here to instant response, are you sure? Cannot be done. Okay, I'm sure. Need to say it's an alert. And it works on not a specific observable type. Just clicking through for the sake of time here. But now I actually have more available. So now this is a workflow built to be triggered by an incident, either from a playbook or an incident automation rule. And now I have all of the content from that incident available directly to me here. So if I want this triggered from the playbook, as we saw here, like how do you think it knew how to create the room with this title? It does that because there's all of these, there's all of these built-in contextual items that you get for free. So it's just a lot easier to work with it. For example, instant title, save. So now I have a variable reference here with that. So this is just to show you a little bit how that works. And we can make it operational by actually adding it into, for example, because I've now selected incident, I can actually make it something triggered through an automation rule as well. I can select an existing automation rule, or I can select a new one or create a new one. And then automation rule is kind of an alternative to your playbooks. It's the fully automated way where you can give it conditions. So I could say, for example, let's do closed confirm thread. I want to execute this workflow. So whenever the status of any incident, so we need to be mindful, changes to closed confirmed thread, triggers on status confirmed thread. Just for purpose of this demo, I'm not going to make it a priority rule. I'll do save. You see now that the workflow became locked because it's being used in an automation rule. It's pure warning. I can still unlock and edit it, but it's just to notify you, hey, this is now a operational workflow. I could now, and again, in theory, we're doing live demos here, change this status, and in theory, let's see if it works.
So it's running basically in the background all the time across the platform.
Exactly. Across any incident that comes in, when you change it to close confirm thread, this is what will happen. And you can see now how that changed it. So again, these are just super simple things, but they help you understand how everything ties together. I will just, since this is an instance that is used by a lot of others, I will disable this one real quick. But yeah, it just shows you how all of this works together. We have different types of rules as well. We have schedules, we have webhooks, email triggered rules, so we can monitor inboxes, we can listen for incoming webhooks. We also have an approval system built in. So if you potentially want to semi-automate something or want to ask for approval as well, you can do those things as well. So there's all kinds of tricks you can do.
So can you trigger, like, let's say, Christopher, Ansible playbooks or Terraform plans to remediate part of an incident? Like, for example, you figured out that a Windows 10 machine has been compromised, right? And you want to run some automation quickly, or you want to move it off the network, or you want to, whatever the use case may be. So how do you actually trigger actions in the network or on the endpoint through this? Through XDR?
Yeah, so for the most part, for our purposes, we still work through our integrations. So we have things like a Meraki integration, or a CrowdStrike integration, or a secure endpoint integration, or a Cisco firewall integration. For those, we'll all have associated actions here, like Meraki, ICE, whatever you name it, we have it. Specifically Ansible, because you called it, we do have some Ansible stuff. I must say I'm not an Ansible expert, which I know I should be, coming from DevNet. But there is this is a specific adapter, as we call it, for Ansible that we have built in. So we don't just have HTTP, we have a bunch of other target types as well. I can quickly show you here just to get you a glimpse of what we have. So Ansible is one of them. Terraform is also one of them. I must say that I haven't used it too much. For terminal, you can literally make an SSH call to a switch in theory. But most we do, I must say, my call's lazy, but we do it through HTTP APIs for the most part.
Makes sense, because you want to automate it.
Yeah. And I would not be surprised if MCP or we're working on an MCP server as well. We're actually collaborating closely with the Meraki team, who also has the automation engine now in their Meraki dashboard. So it's the exact same code base. And they've been making good progress on MCP. So we may get some cool new features related to that as well soon. That will help with more agentic execution.
All right, so MCP coming up. We've shown the workflows, creating them, the integrations. Ansible is in there, Terraform is in there. You can integrate with your Ansible Tower or Ansible Automation Platform, what they call it now. What else? What else wanted to show, Christopher? We have like 8 minutes.
Yeah, I have, I guess, 2 quick call outs of things that are coming. One thing I already have in my platform today, I just switched you to a different tenant, as you can see. Just real quick to show you a couple of things. We are obviously, yes, XDR Automate is a, as they call it, deterministic automation platform. You build something up front, basically is what it means. That being said, it's not that we're gonna jump on the AI train as well. We're already doing that big time, but you'll see some cool enhancements coming in the next weeks and months. So in the relative short term, for example, we'll get a lot of open AI API activities. For example, this one, I have a target. Whoops, I've got it selected somewhere. Oh, I've selected in the atomic itself. Never mind. But there are both the agent and chat completion activities are coming. The UX will not look like this. It will be slightly easier to work with, obviously. We will also allow tool calling. So you can actually give it a workflow category available. Hey, solve this problem or solve these categories. So that is something that we're working on. I can run this real quick. This is just a joke. Actually, I did. But you can see here that you can give it an input. As you see, it will talk. You can specify the model. You can specify your own model. We will start out with a bring your own model. So you need your own OpenAI integration or Azure OpenAI, obviously, and a couple of others that we'll support. But we will also someday come with a built-in one as well. You can see the answer here. And again, we'll also allow us tool calling. This was just a simple chat completion, meaning just a single interaction. I gave it some data. Whoops, sorry about that. I gave it some data, and it gives me an answer back, right? I could have asked it a question about an incident. What do you think about this incident? And we've actually done some pretty cool POCs on that. But it could also say, hey, I need to execute my Google search workflow to gather more information on this. You can fill in the blanks there, what is possible. We'll also come out with an agent activity that uses the OpenAI agentic APIs or agent APIs. What is the difference? The input is pretty much the same. You give it a prompt, a system prompt, and a user prompt. Optionally, you can give it a category of workflows to tool call. However, it's not a one-time back and forth, but an agent, the agent activity, it decides itself like, oh, actually, I need to run it 5 times to get the answer I need. Or I need to run this workflow, then I need to run that workflow. So it becomes very, very powerful. You can now build semi-deterministic workflows, and you can have an if condition for all the known outcomes, but maybe an unknown outcome. You could say, well, let's just try an AI prompt here. Everything will be very easy to audit inside of this platform, because that's just how it's built. So it's very easy to check exactly what happened, which HTTP call was made, what the response was, etc., etc., etc. So that's a very cool feature that's coming on short term. It's full blown working already. It's just a matter of implementing it and then coming up with very cool use cases. So that's something coming soon.
Right, MCP we've talked about also coming soon, MCP interface to XDR, and then this chat integration. You can have your OpenAI, I would imagine your key, or you build your integration, and then from your account you can select the model that you want to use for your chat queries here. But not only that, you're also exposing the incidents to that agent, so that, like you said, Christopher, you can actually ask, what do you think about this incident? Right? What should be my next step? Is this really, I mean, like a priority 1000?
Yeah, and just to be clear on that, for the recording and for people listening, it is a possibility to do it. You can literally do whatever you want because it's an automation platform. But yes, you can use those same incident triggers. That being said, XDR is heavily investing on built-in agentic AI. So some of the things I showed earlier with that automated analysis built in, and there, you don't have to build workflows to get there. But if you want to customize and build on top of it, you can do that. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. You don't have to build it yourself, but you can if you want. That's the big call out here.
All right. So yeah, AI coming up. When will this be available, Christopher? We've said.
Yeah. See, I would say it's a matter of weeks, max months.
Okay. So by the end of the year.
I need to be slightly vague. I hope well before the end of the year, but we'll see where we end up. But we made significant progress already, as you can see, as I was already showing. It's just dotting I's, doing testing, and rolling it out. Yeah, hopefully soon. And we'll definitely do some announcements on DevNet and various channels once it's available.
Sweet, perfect. All right, so I think we covered quite a lot of ground today. Anything else before we wrap up? Any final thoughts?
Maybe one final thought. This is a sneak peek. This is not the production environment yet, but we will come out with 2 new workflow intents very soon as well, similar timelines. These will actually allow you to ingest custom data, for example, into our data warehouse to be considered for incident correlation. At first, we'll support 2 ingestion methods, push or pull, and you'll specify like what kind of source you'll use. And I know we need to stop, but it will help you basically build that workflow. So it will tell you, hey, this is what you need to do will come out with a built-in atomic action to help you actually ingest that data. It will be ingested as a detection finding. It's not meant for ingesting high volume data, but in case you miss a specific type of event, this allows you to customize on top of the various native detections that we already have. So again, not necessary, not needed per se. We do the work for the most part. If you want to customize on top of the platform, you can.
All right. And
so,
then
yeah.
one final thing, Christopher. Folks, where do we have a trial version for this? If folks want to play around with, right? Where do they go to sign up for this?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think some of our learning labs will point you to various dCloud labs that we have.
Okay.
We definitely, so for partners, there are ways to get so POV versions or NFI, not for resale, NFR, I should say, accounts. If you're a customer or a prospect, so to speak, reach out to your Cisco contact, and we can spin up a POV for you in no time. It's SaaS, so that's easy to do. I don't think there's like a freebie version somewhere that you can easily click it, but I'm sure if you go to cisco.com, there are links and everything to get there as well. Yeah, definitely check that out.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Christopher. Thanks, folks, for watching this stream. Hopefully you found it interesting. We've had a session on XDR also previously with Oksana, but I'm glad you took it a bit further. So we've talked also about AI components coming up. We've talked about the workflows, the integrations, the built-in workflows, the fact that you can create your own. And like you've said, Christopher, there's really no limit. This is a platform. We have the APIs. You can build your own integrations if it's not already there. You can build your own ingestion model into, right? If you have a separate tool that's not supported out of the box, right? If you have a intrusion prevention or intrusion detection system, custom,
exactly.
right? That you can ingest that data into XDR. If we don't have it there, you can do it yourself, or you can reach to Christopher or the team and say, hey, what about this? Can we get this integration, or can we get this data source into the platform?
Yep, for sure.
All right. So thank you so much, Christopher. This was fantastic. Thanks, folks. We're taking a break next week. We're going to be at GSX, but we'll be back after that with the live stream. And we'll keep going. We have some cool episodes coming up. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Again, thanks a lot, Christopher. Looking forward to welcome you back on the stream when we have a bit more information on AI, possibly. When we have it
let's
GA.
do that.
Perfect. We'd love to have you back to show the evolution of the platform.
Awesome. Thank you for hosting me, and thanks everyone for listening, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Christopher.